moms are the catalyst for getting their kids to church.
Yes, 100%.
It's no knock against dads, but it tends to often be the mom that is the one who is like, okay, let's get up and get to church, or, we're going to go do Vacation Bible School, or we need to do this Bible reading plan together, that it's often moms that are the catalyst for that. So I think we can really do a better job, the church at large, in supporting and encouraging moms in that way, and helping to give them the tools that they need to be able to try and make it a little bit easier to navigate those waters with their kids and spouses. And so I think it feels exciting to me to be able to create resources that make it easier for moms to do that. Mm-hmm. And even providing opportunities and ways for them to bring their husbands along in that, to be able to work together as a team.
It's the best way, right? Welcome to Wire Talk. We are so glad that you found us on YouTube. And today our guest in the studio is Erin Mashaw. And she's going to be a breakout speaker in our upcoming Soar Conference. And she's going to be talking about worst case scenarios and how to deal with those. You don't want to miss this podcast, and you don't want to miss Soar.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wire Talk. You are in for a special treat today because we have a special guest, Erin Mashaw. She's going to be one of our breakout speakers for Soar. So we are going to give you a little bit of a insight to what she's going to be talking about at Soar. So everyone, welcome Erin to the studio. Hey Erin.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey,
we're good.
We're great. How about you?
So good. So excited to be here.
Today's a great day because it's not only your day on our podcast, but it's also your first day with Birds on a Wire.
Yes.
So excited. Erin's going to be, for all of y'all listening, she's going to be our Chief Operations Officer. So she's going to do all the things, and I am ready and happy for her to be on board. I've been counting down the days.
Well, me too. I've been really excited.
I know. I'm so excited. So yay. Today's a good day.
It is a good day. Erin, can you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your family for all of our Wire Talk listeners so they know who they're listening to and how wonderful you are?
Sure. So I met my husband in college. I met at Liberty University. His name is Reese, and we've been married. This year will be 23 years.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
So, thank you. It feels so crazy that it's been that long, but also kind of feels like yesterday still, and we met in college, got married shortly after, and we've been in ministry for about the same amount of time. We have 4 kids. Our oldest is a student at Liberty now. Gavin is 18, and Kate is 15. She's a sophomore. And then Luke and Wyatt, our twin boys, kind of bring up the rear, and they're both in 7th grade. So we're kind of in that middle high school space of parenting, which has been, as you know, an adventure, but also really fun and just such a great season of deeper conversation and be able to enjoy activities together. That was just a different kind of joy than when they were little. But we're just loving this stage. And I just have really, honestly, always loved being able to try to partner with parents. I feel like parenting is one of the most important things that we do. Mm-hmm. It's also one of the things that's most challenging. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's the thing that God uses to grow us the most.
Yes.
Amen
and
to that.
So I feel like I've never known my own weakness and frailty or tendency to make mistakes like I have since becoming a mom. And so I'm excited to partner with Birds to reinforce and equip and encourage moms to keep doing what they're doing because it's so important.
It's so important. Yeah. Well, I know you're in ministry. You've worked at a large church in Atlanta for years. Tell us what made you want to get into ministry.
Well, my dad was a pastor, so I got to grow up as a PK. And it's funny because they say that pastors' kids go one of two ways. They either walk away from faith entirely or are that much more committed. And I just think my dad really passed on his love for the local church as the best vehicle to reach the world. And so he had some hard seasons in ministry, but I feel like just watching him trust God through the good and bad days was inspiring to me. And I also just had great parents. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is really what inspired so much of my desire to want to help families be the very best they can be, to have strong marriages and to raise kids who love Jesus. And I think as important as the church is, I think that real true discipleship, most of it happens at home. Mm-hmm. And so parents can't do that if they're not equipped to do it. And so I think that just is really what kind of was catalyst for my love for engaging moms and parents.
And what all did you do in ministry when you first started out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a little bit of everything. We're at a larger church now, but we worked at a smaller church for years, or I should say really normal sized church. But I did volunteer recruitment and training. I was a children's ministry director for about 10 years over preschool and elementary. And then we moved to the Atlanta area. I shifted into student ministry for a few years and then into a role where I just work on equipping and resourcing parents and helping to engage parents inside our church, but then also creating pathways for people that have not encountered church or faith or God to help them find a way, hopefully, into engaging with the church.
I love that.
That is so cool.
Hey moms, it's Katie, Wire Talk's producer, here to tell you all about the Soar Conference coming up March 15th, just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Soar is a one-day conference where you'll gather together with other moms to experience worship, fellowship, and practical biblical teaching from Karen and our 4 incredible breakout speakers. Karen will be teaching on the theme Peace for the Anxious Mom in 2 main stage sessions. We'll open up each session with worship, serve lunch midday, and you'll have the opportunity to choose 2 breakout sessions to attend. Wire Talk listeners can get $20 off their ticket by using code WT20 at checkout. Tickets are going fast, so check your calendar, talk to a friend, and head to our website to get your ticket today. Don't forget to use the code WT20 to get $20 off registration. You can find that link in the show notes today and register within the Birds on a Wire Moms app. All right, friends, let's get back to the show.
Being that you were a pastor's kid and you've been around the ministry for so long and like working in a church, what do you feel, especially with moms, what kind of stuff do you feel inspired to create and engage with parents?
Well, I think, and I think we've talked about this before, there is a Barna study that came out a few years ago that talked about how really moms are the catalyst for getting their kids to church.
Yes, 100%.
And it's no knock against dads, but it tends to often be the mom that is the one who is like, okay, let's get up and get to church, or, we're going to go do vacation Bible school, or we need to do this Bible reading plan together, that it's often moms that are the catalyst for that. So I think we can really do a better job, the church at large, in supporting and encouraging moms in that way and helping to give them the tools that they need to be able to try and make it a little bit easier to navigate those waters with their kids and spouses. And so I think it feels exciting to me to be able to create resources that make it easier for moms to do that. And even providing opportunities and ways for them to bring their husbands along in that, to be able to work together as a team.
That's the best way, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you're really passionate about is helping families navigate the uncertainties of life. So what if the what ifs and the worst case scenarios? So why is that such an important topic for you?
Yeah, I think that started when I was really young, to be honest, because being a pastor's kid, my dad was just kind of always drawn to struggling churches. And I think there was probably a part of him that just could see the potential in what that they could become. But oftentimes we would end up going to churches that were really unhealthy and encountering situations that just weren't good or difficult. And so several times we would be immediately he's out of a job, or we're trying to figure out what we're doing for grocery money or, paying the rent or whatever. And what was amazing in those experiences, though, was the ways that we saw God provide and meet our needs over and over and over again. And so I think that really started it for me, the idea of well, that's a worst case scenario. Dad loses his job. All of a sudden, we're trying to figure out, what we're doing. But God has always leaned in those moments. And I think as an adult going through, and I'll share in the breakout, but we've been through some really, really challenging things medically and otherwise with our kids and with me personally. And at the same time, while I wouldn't have chosen those things, I really believe there's an intimacy that we experience with God in those moments that is just unlike any other, almost to the point that you could crave going back to that rock bottom moment because of how close it felt like Jesus was, And so I think they're the things that we're afraid of, the anticipation of it, but in the actual experiencing of those things, we have a God who loves us so much and he leans in so close, and they can just be tremendous opportunities for us to experience his love and patience and compassion with us. And so I think I just want to help parents understand that and to be able to think through, yes, something terrible could happen, but at the same time, on the other side of it, we can almost look back with gratitude at the way that God taught us and grew us through those experiences.
Yeah. I love
One
that.
thing I love about you, Erin, is just the cadence of your voice
Yes,
is so,
so
calming.
calming.
Like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh, that's so, like I just feel just like a warm, like how Olaf says, I love warm hugs. I just feel like you're gonna give these moms just a warm hug. And just like, because so many moms, and me too, we just feel overwhelmed by worry, and especially with our kids. So I can't wait to hear what you're gonna say, but what advice right now could you give the people who are listening who feel stuck in those fears and struggles to trust God in the midst of waiting and the what ifs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I've been there too. I think we all have.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
really, there's a part of that worry or fear that is a good thing because it's evidence that, the moms who feel fearful or worryful, it's because we're conscientious. It's because we want to do a good job. It's because we recognize this is a really important thing that God has given us to do. And so there's some of that that's good. Like we want to, we don't want to be completely oblivious, but it's really easy to slide into just living in that fear and worry or making our parenting decisions based on fear and worry, which just never leads us to a good place. And so I would just say that it's easy to say, oh, we should just trust God. But I do believe that He shows up in ways when we are hurting or struggling with wisdom, with insight through other relationships. I know you have been there for me in hard moments of parenting where I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do about this?
Yeah, exactly.
Help
me out
but
here.
God, I believe God puts people in our lives who can be a sounding board and like a megaphone for His wisdom for us as well. And so I would just say to remember at the end of the day that God holds you in the palm of His hands and that He has surrounded you and will surround you with people who love you, care for you, and can give you wisdom. And some days, that's just what you need. You just need someone to hug you and tell you it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
When you think the very worst thing you could have imagined happens, that,
It's gonna be
that
okay.
someone can say, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that.
I know.
Well, what I cannot wait for your breakout session as well, but what can moms expect to hear from you and what are you excited to share with them?
Well, I think that it's going to be important to talk about what do we typically do whenever those things happen, whenever we either
The worst case scenarios.
Yeah, when the worst case scenario happens or the what if, it's easy to live in that space when it hasn't happened. But then if something does happen, what am I going to do? And I think it's important to talk about what are the things that we typically do that don't work for us, and then what could we do instead? How could we navigate those situations in a way that is healthy, that helps us continue to keep our eyes focused on the God who loves us and can get us through as we're loving and leading littles behind us, because when you go through something hard, so do your kids.
Absolutely.
So does your husband. And so how could we all on the other side of it be better for it?
That's awesome. All right. Well, Erin, that's so exciting. And I'm so excited to listen to your breakout. But in Wire Talk, we always like to be in the practical, what can we do today? So SOAR is 2 months away, which is going to be exciting. And if you haven't signed up for SOAR, you best be getting on the online and logging in and signing up for SOAR because you think you're going to have FOMO and you will because it's going to be amazing. Back to the show. Erin, what is something practical these parents can do today that can help them kind of refocus their eyes on God if they're in a not great situation right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like we have to fill our minds with truth. When fear and worry creep in, we have a tendency to just ruminate on those things or you cannot stop thinking about this situation or this what if. I think that the very best thing we can do is to fill our minds with truth. And so one of the things that I love doing is I have a surrender playlist is what I call it.
Oh,
and
I
it's
love
just
that.
songs that remind me of what's true. Because my heart and mind want to tell me all the things that aren't true. And so to remind my heart of what I know is true, what I know is true about God, what I know is true about the way that He loves and leads me. And also scripture, putting scripture on my mirror, on the dashboard of the car, surrounding myself with on the wallpaper for my phone. And then one other thing I would mention is I discovered the Pause app a few years ago, which is just an app on your phone that's guided prayer. And it always starts with Jesus, I give everyone and everything to you. And I feel like you could do a 1 minute pause, a 3 minute pause. There are just different ones that you can do. But my heart needs that reminder of deep breath. I give everybody and everything to you, Jesus.
Mm.
And it
I
just
love
is
that.
like such a great, like 1 minute reset whenever I find myself in that space of like, oh my gosh, I'm really worried about something. And so that's something anybody could do today.
That's
Well,
amazing.
I love the surrender playlist because so many times when we're in worst case scenarios, we don't even know what to pray, how to
Yes.
pray. We're so at the end of ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you put on worship music,
Yeah.
it just sort of washes over you and
Yeah.
brings that peace of God that you can't even ask for at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's so wonderful.
Well,
Well,
you-
thank you. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, you always tell me, like, if I get kind of in I call it twirling, if I
Mhm.
start going into because I
Spiral
can go
down.
into a spiral.
Yeah.
And Mom says, you can't think two thoughts at the same time. And you're saying, play a song, sing it, because you can't be thinking those
Yeah.
things and singing those words at the same time. So I think that's such a good reminder, because sometimes you can't by yourself get out of it. But
Yeah.
worship is so powerful that it can help kind of like redirect your brain and fill your
Yeah.
brain with truth. So
I think so too.
that's awesome.
Well, thank you for being on here.
Thanks for
I'm
having
really
me.
looking forward. Guys, if you've not signed up for Soar, sign up and sign up for Erin's breakout because it's going to be very special for sure.
Yes.
I'm going to be sneaking in the back.
I know. It's
For
going to
sure.
be amazing. Well, everyone, that is all we have for us today. So thank you so much for listening and being wonderful listeners to Wire Talk. And we really do hope to see you at SOAR. It is going to be amazing. And if you are on the edge of if you should do it or if you shouldn't, this is my push and reminder to say, do it for yourself. Do it for your family, because you are going to soar out of this conference in such a great way with a light heart and just filled with truth that is going to just be such a catalyst in your mothering journey. And we cannot wait to see you next week. Bye.